Good evening, and welcome to Crossfire Opinions, our weekly forum for robust debate. Tonight, we delve into a significant and often contentious issue. Should former felons automatically regain their voting rights upon release from incarceration? Arguing for the motion is Mr. David Chen, a distinguished civil rights lawyer. And arguing against, or rather for a more conditional approach, is Dr. Olivia Ward, a renowned sociologist and criminologist. We will begin with opening statements, followed by rebuttals, a moderated discussion, and finally, closing statements. Let's ensure a respectful and insightful exchange.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. The question before us is fundamental to our understanding of justice, rehabilitation, and the very essence of democracy. I firmly advocate that upon release from incarceration, individuals who have served their time should automatically have their voting rights restored. This isn't merely a policy preference. It's a cornerstone of civic reintegration. Voting is a fundamental democratic right, not a privilege to be granted or withheld, based on past mistakes for which the legal price has been paid. Restoring voting rights is a crucial step in the rehabilitation process. It fosters a sense of belonging and responsibility, encouraging former felons to become engaged and productive members of society. Studies suggest that civic engagement, including voting, can correlate with reduced recidivism. By including individuals in the democratic process, we strengthen their ties to the community and its values. Conversely, denying the right to vote after a sentence is completed serves as an additional extrajudicial punishment. It's a form of civic death that extends beyond the court's decree. Historically, felon disenfranchisement laws in many places have roots in discriminatory practices, disproportionately affecting minority communities and creating an underclass of citizens who are permanently marginalized. Once an individual has completed their court-mandated sentence, their debt to society, as defined by our legal system, is paid. All their fundamental rights, including the right to participate in choosing their government, should be fully reinstated without further impediment.
Thank you. While I acknowledge the importance of reintegration, I contend that restoring voting rights for former felons should be a carefully considered process, not an automatic entitlement upon release. Voting is a profound civic responsibility, and a serious felony represents a significant breach of the social contract. Therefore, restoring this right should reflect the gravity of the offense and the individual's genuine commitment to rejoining society. As a law-abiding citizen, public trust in the electoral system is paramount. Automatic restoration for all, regardless of the crime or evidence of rehabilitation, could undermine this trust and the perceived seriousness of major offenses. A more prudent approach might involve a waiting period post-release, or the successful completion of parole and probation. This allows time to demonstrate a sustained commitment to lawful behavior. Furthermore, we should consider if the nature and severity of the felony ought to play a role. Should all offenses be treated identically when restoring a right so integral to our democratic process? An earned restoration process, perhaps linked to clear indicators of rehabilitation, could ensure the right is both respected by the community and deeply valued by the individual regaining it, reinforcing their commitment to civic life.
Dr. Ward, referring to voting as a, quote, privilege rather than a fundamental right, is a critical distinction. Once a judicially determined sentence is complete, that right should be restored, not dangled as a re-earnable privilege. Concerns about public trust are valid, but trust is also built on principles of fairness and redemption. Excluding individuals who have served their time can actually undermine public faith in the justice of the system. Introducing conditional restoration with waiting periods or other requirements creates unnecessary bureaucratic complexities and risks discriminatory application, further marginalizing already vulnerable populations. Differentiating rights restoration based on crime severity after the sentence has already accounted for this is a slippery slope. The principle should be clear. Sentence served, rights restored. Continued disenfranchisement actively works against rehabilitation. It sends a message of perpetual exclusion, hindering the individual's reintegration as a full and responsible member of the community.
Mr. Chen, while rehabilitation is a key goal, automatic restoration overlooks the importance of rebuilding societal trust, especially concerning victims and the broader community's sense of justice. You call any delay an extra punishment, but I see a period of demonstrated responsible conduct post-release not as punitive, but as a reasonable precursor to reinstating a significant civic duty. This isn't about indefinite punishment. It's about ensuring reintegration is tangible. This period allows for clear evidence of a commitment to societal norms before restoring the right to vote. For victims and their communities, immediate restoration for all felony types can feel dismissive of the harm caused. A more measured approach respects these valid sensitivities. An earned process, where individuals actively demonstrate readiness, could make the right more valued upon restoration, fostering deeper civic engagement rather than it being a passive reinstatement.
Thank you. Mr. Chen, Dr. Ward emphasizes public trust. How can automatic restoration reassure a public perhaps wary of immediate voting rights for those who committed serious crimes?
Public trust is built on justice and successful reintegration. Automatic restoration signals that the legal debt is paid. Education on its benefits for reducing recidivism and fostering inclusivity is key, rather than letting apprehension dictate fundamental rights. It affirms that our system allows for redemption and a return to full citizenship, which ultimately strengthens the community. Delays based on public sentiment can be unfair and counterproductive to these goals.
Dr. Ward, Mr. Chen sees any condition as continued punishment. How does your approach align with the idea that a served sentence means the societal debt is paid?
The punitive debt is paid by serving the sentence. However, restoring a civic responsibility like voting is about ensuring readiness for civic participation post-release. It's a distinct phase of reintegration, not an extension of punishment. It's about verifying a commitment to law-abiding behavior before reinstating a right that impacts community governance, thereby safeguarding the integrity of the democratic process and public confidence.
And briefly, for both, what's one key practical challenge for your preferred system, automatic versus conditional, on a large scale?
For automatic restoration, the main challenge is effective communication and data management between correctional facilities and election boards to ensure seamless and accurate updating of voter rolls. However, this is a logistical issue, solvable with technology and interagency cooperation.
For conditional systems, the challenge is designing criteria and processes that are fair, transparent, and consistently applied, avoiding excessive bureaucracy or potential for bias, which requires careful oversight and robust appeal mechanisms.
In closing, the arguments for automatically restoring voting rights upon release are grounded in the fundamental principles of democracy, justice, and effective rehabilitation. Denying this right after a sentence is served is not only an additional punishment but also counterproductive. It fosters alienation and hinders the successful reintegration of individuals into society, potentially increasing recidivism. We must recognize that these individuals have paid their court-mandated debt. To continue to disenfranchise them is to create a permanent underclass, undermining the inclusivity and fairness that should define our democracy. Automatic restoration simplifies processes, removes discriminatory barriers, and affirms that redemption is possible. It encourages civic participation, a cornerstone of a healthy society, and a key component of an individual's return to responsible citizenship. Let us choose a path that strengthens our democracy by including all who have satisfied their obligations to the justice system, fostering a society that truly believes in second chances and the power of reintegration.
To conclude, my position advocates for a cautious and conditional approach to restoring voting rights. One that respects the gravity of felony offenses, and upholds the integrity of our social contract. This is not about perpetual punishment, but about responsible civic stewardship. Automatic restoration for all former felons, irrespective of their crime or demonstrated rehabilitation, risks eroding public trust in our electoral system. A system where rights are restored upon evidence of successful reintegration, such as completing parole or probation and maintaining a law-abiding life, reinforces the responsibilities that come with citizenship. It also acknowledges the valid concerns of victims and the community, ensuring that re-enfranchisement is perceived as earned and meaningful, rather than a mere administrative formality after serious transgressions. A measured, conditional process balances the individual's path to redemption with society's need for accountability and trust, ensuring that the right to vote remains a respected and responsibly exercised pillar of our democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chen and Dr. Ward, for this illuminating and passionately argued debate. Your distinct perspectives have certainly given us much to consider. Tonight, we've explored the complex balance between the principles of individual rights and redemption, and the equally important considerations of societal trust and civic responsibility. We encourage our audience to reflect on the arguments presented. Thank you for joining Crossfire Opinions. Good evening,